Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This is the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion for Saturday night, November 14th, 2020. I am not Matt Odom, as you can tell. Matt Odom is actually somewhere in the wilderness in Virginia, man, taking pictures. So he's actually
Is he
making
still digging up trenches?
He's still digging up trenches. Last I heard, they were looking for Sasquatch, all that good stuff. So I hope he got some proof positive that Sasquatch exists. But he's actually in Virginia on an assignment. Chris is actually somewhere partying like it's 1999 with his brother. Just got married tonight. Congratulations on that marriage. I hope everything works out well between Chris's brother and his wife. Larry's somewhere parts unknown. We don't know. But if he comes on, you have a spot at the table. Gentlemen, how are you all today, this evening?
Doing well, man.
I'm good. I'm good. How about y'all?
Man, I'm
We
doing.
got Remo in the chat coming out with the "Can you woo woo woo?"
And then he threw a ooh wee in there from Charlie Wilson. I hear you, man. You're gonna make somebody bust. Hey, girl, how you doing? My name is Charlie. Last name
Last
Wilson.
name Wilson.
I was wondering if I can take you out, show you a good time, invite you to my house. Here is my number, and you can. Man, that song be going, boy.
Hey man, I like Charlie Wilson, but all his
Charlie
music
Wilson.
sound the same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the way he sings, though, man. But well, it's good to have y'all both on the show, man. Hopefully, Chris, Matt, and Larry can join. If not, we can hold it down. So we're gonna get started, man, by talking about basically this past week. There was a console drop, two, as a matter of fact, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I know, speaking with Sean and UX, no, Sean said he wasn't going to get one until later on, and I'm in the same boat. But you ended up picking up a PlayStation 5. So would you care to give your thoughts on what you think about that particular system, sir?
I mean, I'm enjoying it, but like I was telling you earlier, the main thing is getting used to the new interface. As I put in our private chat, the only thing that really upset me was that how HBO Max wasn't one of the apps that you could put on there, whereas that's one of the apps you could put on the Xbox Series X or the Series S. So kind of bummed about that, but beyond that, it's pretty decent. Um, I can after getting one, I can easily say you wouldn't go wrong waiting to get one. You know what I'm saying? But if you got one and you took advantage of the new games, it's sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as it goes, that sounds good. I think what really got me was the fact that a lot of the titles, and I know Sean alluded this on one of our previous shows, that most of the titles that were coming out on the PlayStation 5 were actually titles that were going to be on the PlayStation 4. So, me personally, I couldn't ration that out. Um, Sean, I know you said you was going to get one later on next year. Are there any particular titles or games that you're looking for to make you pull the trigger on a PlayStation 5 once you get one?
I mean, I'm gonna check out Miles Morales. And I definitely want to play the God of War game. Like that's probably number one. But other than that, I'm just gonna buy my time and see how everything goes out with this first year of it. Because I always like wait a year, so I'm not the type that rush to buy consoles anymore like I used to. So I know he got one. My brother, he's been blasting it all on Instagram.
I can tell y'all one thing about the titles are gonna be on the PlayStation 4. That's kind of Sony's way of somewhat apologizing to people because the way they're doing it is when you buy these games on the PlayStation 4, whenever you do get your hands on the PlayStation 5, it has that free upgrade. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of you don't have to start all over, but at the same time, you could play almost well. I've been able to play all my old PlayStation 4 games on here so far, so I'm, I don't know.
Well, me personally, man, I think one thing that turned me off about the PlayStation 5 was the fact that I was praying to every deity known to mankind and some unknown that Sony would say, okay, we're gonna just drop the hammer and we're gonna make the PlayStation 5 backwards compatible, at least to the PlayStation 2. Because I got a considerable collection, not as big as some, but I got some games. And my thing is, I'm looking at the aspect of space. When you're a collector of anything, one thing that you run out of amongst anything is going to be space. And when you're dealing with video games, video game systems, I mean, even if you go on a digital format, there's going to be a situation where at one point, unless you just got a room set up specifically for that, which I have not been blessed with that as of yet, you are going to have issues with space. So I'm just looking at it from a practicality point. The Xbox Series X pretty much kind of like
It's a short box.
Short box. What you mean?
It's the size of a short box.
You know what? It actually reminds me of a bread box. Like you just put a loaf of white bread in it.
A pair of brand new J's.
Go ahead, Sean.
I was about to say with that Xbox looking like one of those short boxes and like you said, bread boxes. It's just a weird looking console, man.
It's heavy too. Good God, it's heavy.
The PlayStation or the Xbox?
The Xbox.
Damn.
It's almost as heavy as the original Xbox.
Really?
Yeah. It's heavy. Yeah. Unless I was just tired from handing them over to folks at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's what time we open for pre-orders on both consoles.
You had arm fatigue, man. Because man, I could promise you, man, that first Xbox felt like a cinder block with a disk drive on it, man. For real, like that thing was heavy.
This one felt like a cinder block and a half.
It didn't have no brick as a plug, did it?
You know what? I didn't even try to see.
What, the Xbox Series X?
I hope not.
I don't think so, but I was like, when you said heavy, I was like, did it have a brick with it too?
It probably did, a brick on brick. Brick. Man, that thing, I saw a couple handles snap, bro. I was like, y'all better hold these things from the bottom.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but it also did that on the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation ain't nowhere near as heavy.
Wow.
They just when they manufactured these boxes, they didn't take too much they didn't take weight into consideration.
I know somebody on IG who posted the box that her husband brought of the PS5. Man, she said the post office FedEx did some wrestling moves to it because that box was all jacked up, man. I mean, you could see the things on the sides and stuff like that. I was like, what the hell? Then Tombstone just stunned it and gave it all the wrestling finishes.
Wow.
One thing I will say that I don't like about the next gen consoles, and this is PS4, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X or S. I'm tired of this outer sleeve before you get to the actual console box. To me, this is too much. It's I know it's nitpicking, but it's too much. It's like having, you know how you get the Blu-ray disc and they had that little paper sleeve on top of the plastic case. I hate that. Just give me my console and let me, because that's too much I got to deal with trying to be neat, and because we want to keep the boxes, but shit. Damn, I just looked in my closet and I saw my 3 boxes from my previous consoles, and it's a damn shame. Mm-hmm. All this space is taken. I completely got sidetracked, but I don't like that. It's like I said, it's nitpicking, but I hate that shit stuff. Excuse me.
Hey man, that's already out in the atmosphere, man. You can't reverse time. But yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, I know personally, I'm gonna ultimately get both of them. And hopefully Larry could join because Larry bought an Xbox Series One X. So I guess we could find out whether or not the brick actually has a brick. But yeah, man. I mean, when it comes down to the Xbox One S series or the Series X or whatever, that one actually gave me a little bit more.
We
Go
got
ahead.
Range in the chat. What's up, VV? And he said, "Get a bloody PC, everyone."
Hey man, don't come in here with no PC Master Race, sir. We don't need that. I'm gonna post your good evening, VV. But man, look, I've tried to play computer games. I can't do it, man. I'm not a mouse. I gotta have a.
I ain't got the money to keep them updated.
And that too. I mean, if you want to keep up with a lot of these games, man, you gotta actually have a serious rig in order to get some of these games to work. And you're right, man. I don't have. I'm a working man. I'm at that Dusty Rhodes American Dream. I'm
I done seen cats. Man, cats and came into the job and bought piece by piece. Bruh, $4,000, man. $4,000. Like, you could have just bought. You could have bought this one right over here that has one spec less than what you bought for $2,000, and you sitting here $4,000, and you got to put it together by yourself. I can't do that. More power to y'all, cool, but nah.
Right, VV. More power to you. If I'm a peasant, I'm a peasant, brother. I'm gonna stay.
That's right. We are proud council peasants.
Yes, exactly. We grovel at your feet because you are part of the PC Master Race there. And personally, I can't. Man, you got to have this to keep it cool. And if you don't have it by a certain Celsius, nah, bro. Let me get a PlayStation 12 and plug that double gun up. And as long as it play my games, then I'm good to go.
Look, here's a key factor in me staying a console gamer. You know what I need to look for in a television? 4K with HDR. That's all I need. I don't need 1 millisecond or half a millisecond and 144 hertz and 240 hertz and this, that, and the other. I don't need all that in my life. Get my TV with HDR 10 and I'm good. I got a sound system that will trump all of yours on a PC.
I mean, I think it's a place for it. I mean, because some people, with all that, PC Master Race jargon out of the way, you just have some people that are more technical. I'm not. Just give me some plug and play. I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the time or the effort or the dinero to basically put a computer together to be able to play certain games and stuff. So I just rather let somebody do it for me and be like, hey man, you want to get on to play some Tekken 7 tomorrow night? Like, sure, that type of thing. Yep. So
Cookie brought up you can build a solid PC for $500 and just buy an Xbox controller or a PS1 controller.
It's gonna be the slowest thing in the world.
Well, Cookie, if I do get an opportunity, and thanks for joining us this evening, as with everyone else, I'm gonna hit you up on IG. Like, Cookie.
Thank you, Jace. Not to cut you off, Al. Thank you, Jace. Thank you. I agree with you 100%.
What Jay said. 60 frames per second on the PS5, Xbox Series X. There's no point in getting a PC, especially when they don't have games like God of War and Ghost of Tsushima. Them sound like fighting words to me, man. Like,
but those are true stats. Those are true stats. I have these debates with customers every single day. Like, I don't try to keep them from buying whatever they want to spend their money on. But hey, don't downplay one when if you want to go spec for spec, it is what it is.
You know what? I'm gonna tell y'all, man, and we're gonna get into this in just a second. One of my biggest determining factors on me actually picking up a brand new system, and this has been this way ever since PlayStation 3 and the first Xbox, are titles. Like, it's all good that the system does what it does. What y'all laughing at, man?
BB.
Oh man, okay.
No, the last one. Cookie could build you a Death Star for
a stack.
Hey man, we might have to make that happen, bro.
I'm good. I'm good.
No, I'm
Two
saying
two
we're
minutes
not.
Death Star done blew up. Now I'm good.
Let me tell you now. Well, yeah, you have a point, but we at the tail end of 2020, man. We might need that Death Star for something,
Nah,
you know.
hey, you got one of the most heavy dutiest, and I'm making up words, but heaviest dutiest machines out there, and all you got to do is shoot through one vent twice,
Bro, you know that
twice.
was a very convenient plot hole, man. I mean, come on.
Where you literally force a beam. Matter of fact, you use your Omega beam to shoot all the way through the Death Star through this vent to get to that one spot.
That was the push.
Golly.
Leave Luke alone, man. He had to do it. I mean, that was part of the story. I'm just saying.
Speaking of that, and I know it's gonna be a lot of folk mad when I say this. Y'all do, and I might be the only one that feel this way, but how is it that Mark Hamill was a superstar from Luke Skywalker? Because he really wasn't acting well.
Bro, you talking about the 70s, man. Mark Hamill was a young man with a Kirk Douglas dimple in his chin.
The best thing that him was the Joker.
He had the hazel gray eyes or whatever. That man was a heartthrob, man. He was
I feel like Mark Hamill acts best when he's more of himself. You know, was playing the Joker or playing some ridiculous character.
The trickster.
He acts best when he plays them over the top crazy characters. You don't even think of him as Luke Skywalker. You think of him as himself. Pretty much.
Yeah,
but that's the reason why the man was a heartthrob. He was the Donny Osmond of acting back then. He was. David Cassidy, the Partridge Family. He held it down on TV. Mark Hamill held it down on the big screen. He was in them Teen Beat magazines and all that kind of stuff.
Glad that was before my time.
Big
Don't get me wrong, I watched all of them. Go ahead.
Big Remo bring up Corvette Summer. I forgot about that movie.
So did a lot of people.
I ain't never heard of it.
Look it up, man.
Hey man, I might look that one up, man. Corvette Summer. I guess it was about a Corvette in the summer, huh?
I think you are right.
I'm gonna look it up.
I send you a red Hot Wheel and you just play with it in the summer. You can do stop motion and everything.
Man, I ain't got time for that, man. But
he was in the Guyver too.
Oh yeah, man. They did him dirty at the end of the Guyver, man.
Yeah, they did. Why did you have to bring up the Guyver though, man?
Hey man. Hey, that's a gift of pleasure, man.
Hold up, because you know what though? Every time I think of the Guyver, I always think about Jimmy Walker's role. And I'm like,
Dynamite. You talking about somebody who is the same character in everything that they do.
He was JJ in the Guyver.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't like his role in there. He did too much shucking the jive. Man, this is a science fiction movie. You ain't in the ghetto in Chicago, man.
He turned into a gremlin.
Then with big lips.
He turned into a big gremlin with
big lips.
That was bamboozled. He was man-time.
Talk about JJ and the Guyver.
The Guyver. But anyway, going back to topic. We done went from video games to JJ's lips and stuff.
Oh Jesus!
All on the comic all around table discussion, folks. It's deviated way off topic. But no, one of the things that I actually that determines whether or not I get a new system are the titles. I don't really too much care. I mean, I care about what the specs are as far as what the system does. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any like titles that just draw me and attract me, like man, I gotta get this system, I'm not gonna get it. And in my opinion, I know other people might differ as far as what they think. Neither system did it for me, man. I mean, I got a PlayStation shirt on, but I love both Microsoft and Xbox. I have an Xbox One, PlayStation 4, all that kind of stuff. I've owned both systems up through the PlayStation 3, Xbox, all the way up. But my determining factor has always been the titles that have come out. So Sean, when you actually are in that position, like say for example, I know you say you get a PlayStation 5. I don't know if you anti Xbox or not, but whenever you get that opportunity or whenever you decide that you're gonna get a system, are you at a point to where you're going to get a PS5 for sure, or does the prospect of getting an Xbox, is that as far as an option based on the titles? How do you normally go about choosing a game system?
PlayStation got the most exclusives that I can rely on, whereas Xbox relies on the exclusives that I'm tired of. You know what I mean? You know, like Halo. The last Halo, the last Halo didn't do it for me, man. I'm sorry. That the last Halo was like, whatever. You know, and you know they had the recent Gears, which was pretty good, and Forza, you know, the racing game. But outside of that, they haven't come up with something new to really say, all right, Xbox is coming through with a big time exclusive that's brand new. It's not Halo or nothing like that. I haven't really seen something that really want me to get an Xbox Series. So until Xbox starts upping their game in the exclusive department, PlayStation is always going to beat them in that regard. So I always look at the PlayStation exclusives. They keep coming up with new games like Ghost of Tsushima that came out early this year. That was an amazing game. You know, Xbox wish they had something like that, you know, just to sell their console. You know, if they had that as a starting launch for the Xbox, then yeah, people would probably gravitate towards that. But, you know, Xbox fans are going to buy it because they're loyal Microsoft fans. You know, they're going to support the Xbox, you know, so if Larry comes on them. Yeah, you know, and if they want to, you know, get an Xbox and play because they feel more comfortable with Xbox, and power to them.
I know for the longest, Xbox to me, because and keep in mind, I know I'm a Sony fanatic, but I have paid for every single one of Microsoft's game console, whether it was for me or for my son. You know what I'm saying? But the biggest thing that Xbox had over Sony for the longest time was that their online gameplay was better because you was paying for it. It didn't have as many glitches in it like you would on PlayStation. But now it's almost tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? So it boils down to the exclusives, just like Puff was saying. I mean, maybe Microsoft need to go and buy a character, you know, from some kind of comic book franchise or movie franchise, so that they can compete with Spider-Man and God of War and stuff like that. But I mean, outside of that, what do they have to offer?
You remember when Spider-Man came out on the PS4 and it was exclusive? Them Xbox fanboys was
they were hyped. They were hyped.
Upset.
And then God of War. When God of War came out and folks started pushing, like really saying how good it was, they were more pissed. You know what I'm saying? And then Ghost, they sour again. So I mean, just off the exclusive alone, I mean,
I think saying exclusive titles are the source of all evil in gaming. I'm like, well, you know, exclusives been around since when Nintendo was dominating with Super Mario and them.
Right.
You know, that was their main IP. You know, so you gotta have exclusives to sell the system.
Right.
And you know, it's funny you said that, Sean, because when I got my Xbox One and my PS4, I actually got the Xbox One first, and the reason why I got it was because of exclusives. I'm a fan of the Dead Rising series, you know, ever since the Xbox 360, and at the time, Microsoft had an exclusive with Capcom for Dead Rising, and then there was another game that came out which was Killer Instinct. I mean, everybody knows Killer. Well, most everybody knows what Killer Instinct is. So Microsoft had that on lock. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool. So that kind of swayed my decision in getting, you know, that particular generation to an Xbox One. But when Sony said, look, bro, Al, I know you got Killer Instinct and Dead Rising, bro, but you know, we about to lay a smackdown on Microsoft, and they just went ham. I mean, like the titles that you mentioned, man, just last year, I mean, with Spider-Man, Horizon, Zero Dawn, not Death Stranding, but
Yeah,
What's
Death Stranding.
That's another one. That's
Death
another one.
Stranding? Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay, well, Death Stranding, God of War. What was the one, the guy on the motorcycle that was going around?
Days Gone.
Days Gone. That's 5 right there. We ain't even talk about one of the best games that I played earlier this year that came out last year was Detroit Become Human. By the way, if y'all haven't played that game,
Oh man, yo, it's
bro,
worth downloading for free on the PlayStation Network.
it is
Oh, and
worth
God of War
downloading.
is free too.
Oh, Detroit Become Human's free this month.
Yeah, well, if you are a PlayStation Plus, once you open that, like if you open that PlayStation Plus back up, you can go back in and download that for free.
I agree with him on that. Like, you brought up Dead Rising, and I was like, was that multi-plat on the previous generation? On the PS3?
If no, not the PS. I don't, PS3. It
I
was.
can't remember.
It was because they did Dead Rising 2, which was set in Las Vegas on both systems, on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. But then when they jumped to the 8th generation, the PS4 and Xbox One, Microsoft landed Dead Rising 3 as an exclusive, but it ended up coming out on the PlayStation with the exclusivity.
Yeah.
So
they do that. Microsoft was notorious for doing that with the 360 days. You know, they get it exclusive for a whole year before it releases on the PlayStation. You know, and I agree with third parties. I don't think they should be exclusive to one console, even if it's a timed exclusive. I feel like those should come out on both consoles. But because Xbox was pulling that nonsense by saying we want that exclusive to our console for at least a year, so by the time it comes out on the PS3, the game already had been a year old, so you're pretty much getting it late. But you know, I feel like the producers of original games for Sony make those exclusives, and third parties should be multi-plats.
I agree with that. If you got a third party and you try to be exclusive to one console over another, that's just like going back to when Blu-ray and HD DVD came out. Like if you picked the wrong one, then you assed out. You know what I'm saying? You can miss out. So whereas you just sit there and make it for both platforms, you gonna win either way because you get your bread from both Microsoft, Sony, and then later on, if you decide to make it if Nintendo will allow you to make it on their platform, I mean, shit, you winning. You know what I'm saying?
And I remember when the rebooted Tomb Raider came out, and I remember Square Enix being disappointed with the sales, even though it made like 3.4 million. It sold 3.4 million copies. Then the second one, they're gonna make that a time exclusive for the 360 or the Xbox One. And I'm like, wait, y'all was just complaining about sales on the first game. Why are you going to cut your sales in half by making it exclusive to the Xbox? That made no sense. So it's like it's dumb, especially for a sequel. That should be automatically multi-plat.
That's from a suit that's sitting down making 7 figures a year that don't even play games.
Right. So keeping on the vein of, I don't know why that came up.
What did that?
Yeah,
that was new.
Yeah, I was actually trying to add a bound of folks. And folks, this is my first time actually doing all this stuff because I'm in the driver's seat. I'm the captain of the love boat tonight. But the next thing we're gonna talk about, since we on the topic of games, is show it favorite launch titles. So I asked the guys earlier before we started the show at the last minute, and I'm sorry, fellas, but what their favorite launch titles were. So you don't have to actually say or specific. I mean, it could be across any system. I mean, PlayStation 2, whatever you remember that you wanted to get when the system first launched. So we're gonna start with you, Sean. What were some of the games that you actually had to get when you bought a new system?
Man, Dreamcast launch was amazing, man.
Oh God, I knew you were gonna say it. One of y'all was gonna say it.
Oh man, you know I had to say the Dreamcast, man. And you know, back in then, I was a huge Sega fan. Like I love Nintendo, but you know, when I got my first Genesis and played Sonic the Hedgehog, that was like I was automatically on the Sega bandwagon. And man, when that Dreamcast launched with all those games, whew, I could not wait to get that console and at least get a couple of those games. It's like being in New York, downtown Brooklyn, where my high school was at. We hit up the game stores downtown. Then sometimes we go to Chinatown to check out some of the Japanese games that was coming out there.
Pirated game.
Yeah, we had it all.
You nothing but subtitles on it.
So the launch of the Dreamcast was probably one of my favorites, and it's also sad because that console lasted so short and died. I was like,
hey, we saw one for $60 there.
We sure did. $60. Yeah,
it looked like it was in great condition too.
I still have mine though. But so what were some of the titles that you had to scoop up when you got a Dreamcast?
Of course, Sonic was like number one. Especially considering that Sonic didn't have a freaking game on the Sega Saturn. That was so disappointing. That whole stretch. And I got Sonic, and I know I got a Marvel vs. Capcom. I had to get that after the arcades. I remember going to the arcades and playing all those games from X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, and then Marvel vs. Capcom came out. I mean, the hood was popping when those arcades, man. We done messed up a bunch of arcades playing those fighters, man. Oh, man. Those are the days, man. Those are the first two games I brought, too.
These kids nowadays, they have no idea what it was to go to an arcade. To put that quarter in the corner, Universal, that I got next. And I'm talking about depending on who put that quarter down. Well,
I mean, we run up in the arcades and play X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Bro, arguments be had.
Mortal Kombat, all the Street Fighters.
All the Street
Killer
Fighters,
Instinct,
man. Tekken.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Oh, my goodness. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 kept one of our arcades here and making open just that one game.
Yep.
Literally that one. Like, if that system was down, if that cabinet was down, boy, it was a bad day for that arcade because when nobody in there. God, I miss them days, man.
I work
like you said, man. Kids just don't know today, man. Like back then, arcades was heaven to us.
Yeah, hell, they were heaven to our parents.
Yep.
They'll sit there and drop us out. Go, here you go, $20. Go. I ain't never seen my parents happy to give me $20. Just go, whatever you got left over, cool. But here you go, get out of our face. And I was in there, spent 90% of my time in there with Al here. That's how I met him. Yeah, I met Mortal Kombat. My brother took me in there. He said, "Hey, play him." All right. I played until I beat him. All right, got him.
And if y'all don't know, I used to work at arcade back in the day, and I loved it. I mean, man, if that was a 6-figure job, I'd probably still be working at an arcade, man.
Bruh.
But I was one of the dudes to beat.
Yeah, you say you beat Big Al. You did something.
X can tell you, Matt can tell you, and a couple other folks can tell you. I used to whoop straight ass. Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Mortal Kombat 2. And this is the crazy thing, and we've deviated, but we're gonna talk about this second. It used to be a time, and X will tell you, people, it was crazy because we live in Macon, right, Sean? We had a big mall, it had an arcade, but when the arcade first got put in the mall, it was small as hell. It was like a little closet.
It was a hole in the wall.
Right, it was so many games. But we had got a point to where people in Macon had got so good in fighting games, folks would come from Atlanta.
Yep.
This was before the internet.
Crews.
Yep.
Crews would
come from Atlanta, from other cities around. Like, hey man, I heard the dude named such and such play games here. How you know that, man? Ain't nobody got no pages. The cell phone, no cell phone. Like, yeah,
no
man.
cell phone.
And they used to come straight up squad. Man, I'm telling you, I had to vanquish.
And drove at home sad.
And for some reason, I had a target on my back because I worked at the arcade. So of course, I'm gonna have a little advantage over everybody because I'm in the arcade after I was playing and stuff and getting my practice on. So jokers, when they came in to practice, sometimes they actually played me. They beat me. That was like an achievement on Xbox Live.
Hey,
like no
I
joke.
remember the first side eye that this man gave me when I beat him in Mortal Kombat. He gave, boy, I'm talking about if looks could kill. Cause he
I wasn't supposed
like,
to lose. No, I wasn't.
He looked at me like, with Scorpion?
With Scorpion.
I said, yes. Yeah.
With
I put in that work.
Then he burnt my ass. He did the block up, and then release.
Oh yeah, I did the fatality. He was hot, boy. Yeah, he was hot. And keep in mind, this back when we had to write down the fatalities to really remember them. You know what I'm saying? Oh man,
but those were the days, though, man. For real. I went, man. If I can go back and relive them, I would, man. But yeah,
and that was just Aladdin's Castle, not even Time Out.
Yeah, Time Out was a much bigger store.
Man.
I got fired by a dude that looked like Eric Bischoff, like real story. Like, I ain't lying. His name was Dan, but matter to tell you, he looked like Eric Bischoff, but he was shorter than Eric Bischoff.
Man, them were the days. I worked at Foot Action. It was right next door to Time Out, man. On my break, so I get off early, I could just walk right on down there and play. Crazy. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost, but hey, boy, you go in there, you see 20 people lined up to play Marvel's Capcom 2.
Oh yeah.
Put 20. The quarter on the little seal right up at the top where the joysticks are. Joker wait in line, man. Jokers be sitting there trading secrets like, man, how'd you do that combo? Man, you play Magneto, man. How you get that trap thing to work?
Like, hey man, this how you beat Matt's team, because all he want to do is sit there and anti-air you to death.
Right.
You just gotta do this and could never do it unless you played them.
And the funny thing about it is when you on the street and you just beating guys who just keep coming to try and fight you, knock them off. Next, bring the next victim.
Yep.
And motherfuckers couldn't stand me when I use Law from Tekken, because they know what I'm gonna do, man.
Hey, tell you one of the greatest things about Tekken is when I can't remember which one it was because it's been so long, but when Lei Wulong, you can actually switch his fighting stance throughout the fight. The ultimate nullifier against somebody who didn't know what they were doing.
Hey Ron, you know where I live.
and another launch title that I had to have at that time, because basketball was huge, was the 2K series. The launch of the 2K game started with Dreamcast, man. Allen Iverson on the cover.
Right, with AI, yep.
Yeah, man. And at that time, I was a huge AI fan. I wanted them to beat the Lakers when they went to the finals, but it didn't happen.
You can never rip AI in that game. AI don't know everybody. He ain't never miss a three. AI was LeBron of video games back then. He ain't missed not one shot.
Yep, and at the time before that, I was playing Live 98 and 99.
Back when Live was real, man.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, when Live was the shit. But then when 2K came out and I played that on the Dreamcast, I was like, oh shit, this game is on point.
Man, the 2K series on the Dreamcast shat on everything John Madden worked for up until the Dreamcast was released. That game was superior. Well, I'm talking about the football game.
The football game, man.
It was superior to Madden in every way.
Bro, when they released, was it 2005? That with game at $20. Yeah, with T.O. on the cover at $20. And everybody just said, yo, Madden at $50, man. I'm jumping on that 2K. And that game was fucking amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Presentation, gameplay, graphics, everything. That game was amazing.
It was amazing, but it was easy for me. That's why I didn't like it.
I loved it.
It was good, but it was easy. I was like, man, I said, I can read the offense before you even get out the huddle. I was like, I already knew what you were finna do. Especially if you played with Philly at the time. I was like, well, all I got to do is double TO. Double TO and put somebody over the top. Because McNabb ain't finna throw to nobody else. Man.
So X, what were one of your favorite titles come launch?
Off the rip, with the PlayStation 2 Tekken Tag Tournament, had to have that. PlayStation 3 Heavenly Sword, I
Ooh,
had to have that. Like that was a
yeah.
must.
Underrated game too, man. That game
hmm
didn't get the shine it deserves, man. Really.
Without Heavenly Sword, we would not have Horizon. I don't care what nobody say. That was the original Horizon Zero Dawn. Like that game, boy. If I can get my hands on that game right now, don't even call me. I'm playing that from beginning to end. And the cutscenes in it, man, that was like, I know other games had it, but that was the first time where it actually felt like I was in a movie while I was playing the game.
You talking about Heavy Rain?
Heavenly Sword.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, with Heavenly Sword, I forgot what the little boss dude name was, but might as well call him Shinnok because that's who he looked like from Mortal Kombat. But them scenes, man, you were so caught up in it. It was short and repetitive, but it was a game changer back then. Um, Going back to like the original PlayStation though, Battle Arena to Shinden,
Ooh.
Underrated.
underrated.
Yeah.
I
Go
played
ahead.
that game a lot. I played
hmm
that game a lot. Jason knows we played that game growing up on the PlayStation. That and Part 2. Bro, man, it was so much fun playing those.
That was the original Soul Calibur to
Yeah.
me.
But
Man,
you
I
know,
miss that.
this is the crazy part though. This is actually a testament to Sony's library. I mean, we haven't seen Ballerina to Shinden since the PlayStation. And
Right.
then thinking about one of my favorite games what's going on, Jeff? Good to see you, sir. Glad you can join us. But Bloody Roar was another one
Yeah.
that I like personally. I know that was a title, launch title, wasn't it?
For the
I want to say it was a launch title for the PlayStation, the first one. I could be wrong
uh
though.
it wasn't for the PlayStation because you had Battle Arena to Shinden. God, I forgot that whole disc. Cause every demo game that was on that disc is what was launched, release launch.
Ridge Racer was one of them.
Yeah,
Yep.
that.
You had ESPN Extreme Games,
Ooh, yeah.
Power Serve, 3D Tennis,
There you go,
Rayman.
Rayman.
Rayman was one
Yes.
of
Man,
them.
that was
Raiden Project. Yeah.
Rayman's a dope platformer, man. But
Wasn't Parappa the Rapper a launch game for PlayStation?
I don't see it
Oh,
on this.
oh,
I
Kick
think it came
Punch.
out on the second one.
Is it
Yeah,
Kick
Kick Punch.
Punch? It's all in your mind.
Master Chop. Open up the textbook and you will find the things the teacher was sure to reach you, but nevertheless you'll get a lesson from teachers. So kick, punch, chop.
Yeah, I remember that was another game my brother played a lot, man. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it was.
Rapper was the shit.
I'm
Remember,
telling you nothing.
remember Our World, Abe's Odyssey?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I know. I'm surprised ain't nobody where Al hadn't said anything yet, but Wii Sports.
We sports.
Wii Sports, man, that's another like that whole that was so underrated because honestly that game that disc probably got more play than any other Wii game ever. You know how many folk lined up to play just to do the golf and not golf but bowling on Wii Sports, man.
Yeah, that was like a lot of families got together to play all that.
Right, right. And then was it tennis? Boy, the folk thought they were Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi out there. You had a whole bunch of Maria Sharapovas or whatever her name was.
Man,
Oh,
that Wii Sports had you sweating like a Hebrew slave though, for real,
yeah,
man.
dude. Shattering hips and stuff.
Everything. But I know a couple dudes, man, busted their TV screen when they got like a flat screen because they never kept that,
That wrist strap.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
they sitting there talking about they freestyling and totally TV up, man. But for me, man,
Yeah,
some of my favorite titles though, as far as launch, I'm gonna have to go
Twist the
back
Metal,
to
man.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal was a good one. Oh yeah, Jay said that Twisted Metal. Um,
Oh, Sweet Tooth.
yeah, not
I miss
that
them
was
car.
a good one.
I miss those car combat games, man. Those were fun as hell. Destruction Derby was like a racing game that I could play because you just busting up other cars and shit.
Trying to trying to think, what was it like? Was there really a launch on the PlayStation 4 that I had to have?
I know Killzone Shadowfall was the big one, and that was, yeah.
I didn't even care about that.
You had that what was that kid looking game?
Oh, Little Big
Knack.
Planet. Little Big Planet was another game too.
Yeah, Little Big Planet, and it was that Knack game, I think.
Cause one Little Bit Planet on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah. Damn, that's a series I forgot about when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That,
it came and went. It had this little run, and then
oh, it's back. It's
it's
back.
not as strong as it was when it originally started.
No, it's not as strong because they start catering more to kids instead of just making a game like they did. But it's back now. That was a game, a launch title for the PS5. It's like
Sackboy.
Sackboy.
Yeah, I remember that.
That game right there, man, it was dope, but it was, man, some folks on there was super overpowered. That Donatello, man, with that,
Donatello, that little staff wave.
and Bebop, and you just spam
Oh,
moves and stuff, man. But
hey, Shredder was so cheese on that game.
yeah,
There's
man,
a lot.
I'd have to go back with what Sean mentioned. The Dreamcast was a dope system, man. To as far as the launch, I think they probably had the best launch, like Jay said, like of all game systems of all time, man. Like I can remember, I know I bought at least 6 or 7 games that launch. I know I bought Soul Calibur, I bought Power Stone, I bought Sonic Adventure, I bought 2K on the football game, and Ready to Rumble boxing.
Oh man, Ready to Rumble. So fun.
Dope, man, for real. So
I agree with Jason on that.
what do you say? Let's see. Here.
PS4 had the weakest launch games of all the PS consoles. I agree.
I agree. I'm looking at some of them now. Resogun, Warframe, DC Universe Online.
Oh my god. I think it was just more so nostalgia. It was the first next gen console that had it for me with the PlayStation 4. I honestly think that's what it was.
But then
It
again,
damn sure won the game titles.
it could have been that Sony at that time was like smug and so like we gonna just throw this out here because we know we already got people that's gonna buy it, so we could wrap up a brick and say this is DLC, and they'll be okay with it,
And I think my PlayStation 3 was acting up at the time too, so I had to have a console. And I refused to buy another one.
But yeah, man, it's good. Going down memory lane.
Damn.
Sean, any other games that you wanted to get or you got during the launch that you had to get?
It wasn't a launch title, but I remember when they released it for the Dreamcast, I wanted to get it, but I saw the reviews and I was so disappointed with it. And every time I saw it, I wanted to buy it so bad because I'm a big wrestling junkie. But fucking the Royal Rumble for the Dreamcast was just the ultimate disappointing game, man.
I like that game better than what was it on the original Xbox, Raw is War or whatever that shit was.
Yeah, the WWE Raw.
Man, when everybody, like every wrestler was ticking the entire time, like bro, the move was so choppy on that game. I'm still mad at Larry and TC for allowing me to buy that monstrosity when I bought my Xbox. That. What is it? What's the football game that had Peyton Manning?
One Blitz, was it?
No, it wasn't Blitz. It was supposed to be their version of Madden, which was so trash. God, it
Bro,
was
remember when you had a bunch of football games and not just Madden? You know, you had the
trash.
game day for PlayStation, you
Hmm.
know, and then you had a variety of games like Joe Montana had a game series for a while and all that stuff. We used to have a variety of football and basketball and baseball games. Now it's just
Technical.
one. Now it's just
Man,
one.
I don't care what nobody say. There will never be another baseball game as good as Bases Loaded.
Yep.
I don't care what nobody say. All this MLB, the show, and all that is cool and all. If you want to NFL Fever, that was it. But all this stuff where you can throw a no hitter and win $1 million, whatever. Bases loaded. That was a game, especially with the home run derby, where you sit down with all your family and friends and see who can outdo who, man.
Bro, I never owned the Nintendo 64. I used to go to my friend's house because he had most of the games, and that's where I played No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000. God, man, those were the days.
The my favorite games as far as wrestling on that system was NWO versus WCW Revenge and No Mercy, and it was another one because Ukes did it. THQ, they
Yeah,
actually developed the games. Man, them games were so fun. We bought a doggone game genie, man, and we had where we could have unlimited supers to get Kevin Nash and Spike Pie Drive people. Like I tried to kill them, man. Like for real.
I wish we could get pro wrestling back. Give
yeah.
me, give me pro wrestling. I can use Starman.
King Slender.
That's all. Starman was my dude. Man. Doe used to tear me up in that game until I started using Starman. I started using Starman. He couldn't do nothing with me.
Okay, well, next topic of discussion, and I hope I do this right. Has Darkhawk finally made it to the big time?
He's about the same as he was every year prior.
Well, the reason why I brought that up is because I don't know if y'all have known, but a few days ago, Marvel actually trademarked the name Darkhawk. And as of right now, speculation, of course, is going crazy over one of the most ridiculed comic books in modern history, which is Darkhawk #1. So I actually went on eBay earlier today, and I would try to pull it up, but I don't want to disconnect something. But of course, y'all know we've talked about this on several shows. Darkhawk started to go up in price. Like what was a $2 book is now averaging anywhere from about $18 to $25.
Right.
So right now it's been speculated that he's either going to be in a TV show or a movie, but it's been heavily speculated that he might be tied to the Guardians of the Galaxy. So my question to you all is based on that information, because that's all that's out there now. Do you all see that there could be a possible upswing in the value of that book? And if they were to use Darkhawk, how do you all feel he would be used? Do you think he would be used like the War of Kings Darkhawk, where he was actually a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you think they'll put him on a TV show like a comedy Rowan and Martin laugh-in type deal? So how do y'all feel like that'll actually go down? X?
So as far as how they're gonna use them, I honestly don't know. But to answer one of your original question about the value in this and the other, it's gonna spike and then it's gonna drop right back down. You know what I'm saying? Depending on unless they really, really make him out to be the next Iron Man of the MCU, that's the only way I think that value will stay. Because you look at it, how many years has this book been a dollar book?
Years.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And just because of this whole, and we done said it on this show several times, where the spec deck rules everything. That's the only reason why it's jumping up, because people speculating this and the other, and at the rate things are going now. I mean, when will we see him? You know what I'm saying? Everything getting pushed back 2 and 3 years. So what'll be the purpose of going off of that spec if by the time this stuff actually comes to fruition, everybody forgot about his ass again. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does he do? Honestly, I don't follow him like that. What does he do? I got the book, but I got the book and I ain't never looked at it. I just put it in my box and call it a merry blessed day. Matter of fact, when we were in Origin, Matt said, "Hey doc, here you go, hey doc," and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's $1." You know what I'm saying?
It's $1 then, and it'll still be $1. Those eBay prices don't mean nothing. You could probably still find them in the buck bins.
I'm
Right.
sure you can. I'm sure it's possible, but I found it funny that book. Like, I've seen Facebook posts when I used to be on Facebook of people basically saying that they had their whole retirement together because they had like 10 copies of Darkhawk. But now, since there's been some type of spark in regards to that property, some of these guys are taking notice and like, I know they don't expect to retire, but it's funny how speculation actually works in the comic game now. But because I was actually watching a show with Comic Tom, and there was that Silver
3 million% in sales in the past 4 days. It's a fucking dollar book. Oh,
Amen.
That's why, like, I don't really watch Tom much no more because
he's entertaining.
He's entertaining, but at the same time, like, people are upset because he's driving up books that were in dollar bins. I'm like, come on.
Hey, he is a comic book shop owner. The man trying to move his product. I ain't mad at him. I get it. I get why people mad, but I get what he doing.
But no, the reason I didn't bring him up for you to mock him like that, man, that's cold blooded. But no, the reason why I brought that up is because that Timeless variant with the Silver Surfer was actually on their list, and they were saying that was one of the few books that actually have seen any type of movement, because little did I know it was a key, but it's supposed to be a key, and then on top of that, being it was Alex Ross
double feature.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said. You done seen the video, ain't you?
Double feature. I'll watch him. He's, like I said, he's entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's overhyped though. Like, he's like a hyper character in the cartoon or something.
I'm not gonna say he's the worst thing that happened to comics, like a lot of people will, but he's very entertaining. I don't never go by a lot of what he say anyway, because I
watch the show, and I'm not gonna try and go out and get these books like some people do. Like,
no,
man, it's like I entertained by the video, but
right.
I haven't been watching much of him lately.
Cool. Like, if he says, hey, like Al was talking to me, we were when the Great Heist, as we call it, we had went back over for like round 2 one night, and I think Matt put Comic Time on, and he was just playing, and he was talking. I'm digging through a box, and Al was like, "Hey, X, don't you have that book?" And I was like, "I think I do." And he was talking about Batwing 19, and I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I do have it." Well, cool, I got it. You know what I'm saying? But if it ain't a book that I don't have, that I don't want, I ain't finna go out there and try to get it just because he said it. Big
Remo said in the chat that Darkhawk better not be in the Guardians before Nova.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking that, like, when Al was asking the question, I was like, why would he be there before Nova?
And the thing is, they teased us with the Nova Corps in the first movie.
Right.
But we ain't getting no Nova yet.
We ain't seen nothing ever since.
Garbage.
Ever since. Like, all we know is that Xandar was destroyed or whatever.
And that's the perfect plot to start. With the mind. What I forgot the AI of the Nova Corps, the search for a new Nova member. And that's how he runs into I assume Marvel's gonna try and use Sam Alexander to stay current with the comics, but it's normally Richard Rider that's supposed to be.
I think they talking about Richard Rider.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past Marvel to try and use Sam Alexander.
I mean, everything else, the MCU is basically the Ultimates version of Marvel anyway. So whichever Nova's in that's who they probably gonna go with.
And to answer Remo's question about why would he be with the Guardians, in the comic book, he was actually in the Guardians at some point. And I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't reading the book, but I do know at the time he was a member of the Guardians. It was him, Gladiator from the Shi'ar Empire, Adam Warlock, who else?
That was during the whole War of Kings thing.
Right, the War of Kings.
Darkhawk played a role in it. But I don't know if he was a full member of the group.
But how would he be in the group and we ain't got Warlock yet? And they tease him too. And Guardians of the Galaxy. So at this point, all they probably gonna do is hint to him in Guardians of the Galaxy like they did Nova and Adam Warlock, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
to be honest, I'm not that big on Darkhawk myself. Right. I don't have the first issue, and I'm not gonna try and run out to buy the first issue, so it don't really bother me. So if they use him, cool. But I'm not gonna. It's like, oh, they bringing in Darkhawk. I'm like, whatever, whatever. Like, hey, Marvel's surprised when they announced the Guardians of the Galaxy. At the time, I wasn't into Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm like,
I was like, who?
And I remember when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, and I saw Rocket Raccoon. I'm like, what the fuck is this character?
I knew who Rocket was, but that was it. Out of the rest, I'm like, who?
I wasn't
the other cats?
Yeah, so when the movie came out and it was doing great, I went to see it. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. That's how Marvel does with the MCU. They take obscure characters, make it a movie, and it's actually pretty good, pretty fun, entertaining. So, maybe they might do it with Darkhawk, and if it's good, then that's number one that we far out. Yeah. That movie, no. I still only seen that movie once. I never gave it another read.
Once too many.
Fucking flirting.
Hey, what we talking about that earlier today?
Yeah. I even went as far as to ask, what happened to the flirting? Is he lying though now? Like, what is going on? We seen him one movie and that's it.
Flirting. This man go through all this, man. He presents himself to the Avengers of being this badass Joker.
Right.
Come to find out, man, he got scratched in the face with an alien cat.
By a kite. He got bit by one of them things from Critters. Come on, man. God, that's terrible.
I just, can we move on to the next one?
I got my finger on the trigger, sir. Next topic. X and I talked about this earlier today. And, dealing with speculation and everything, this is starting to become more of a trend in comic book collecting now. So I present to everyone, why are newsstand comics more coveted than direct edition comics now?
Somebody explained this, and I know Unruly Simeon was on G-Man's show last week, and he was talking about his thing with people bringing up newsstand and stuff like that. But the one thing I know about newsstands that I heard from somebody is newsstands, I will say from the 80s going into the 90s, started diminishing in terms of the amount they were printing, and by the late 90s, early 2000s, newsstands was done. Because I remember I was saying I was buying newsstand comics from the newsstands in New York. But by the time 2000 came, them newsstands stopped selling comics. So you start seeing lesser and lesser newsstands as the 90s went on. So they started to become more of a rare option than the direct edition, because the direct editions were sold directly through the comic shop, so they got the most copies, whereas newsstands only ordered a certain amount of copies, and once they sold out, they sold out. So I'm thinking that people just value the newsstands more than the directs because of how rare they become as the years went on. But for me, if I have a newsstand, I'm fine. Direct, I'm fine with the direct either. So, I'm not the ones that go around and say newsstand, and I know, I know guys, a lot of guys that love to use that terminology, newsstand, it's fun and all, but, if I have a newsstand, it's like, whatever, I'm just happy to have the book.
You said you literally you were saying the same thing that Al and I said to each other earlier when we were talking about this. Like, but I guess it just depends on the collector itself. Like, if I'm collecting a run or something, honestly, I'm not collecting books for value. You know what I'm saying? I'm collecting the books that I want. And if I pick up a newsstand, cool. If not, cool, because I'm buying it for my run. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to resell these anyway, so I don't care about whether it's the direct edition newsstand or whatever other little emblem that's on the front of it, as long as it's not a Cracker Jack box or something,
And I
But
think Big Will showed on my show, I think it was last week, where he had a newsstand of Savage Dragon #1. And that's more rare than, like Marvel or DC newsstands, because that's an Image comic. And back then, Image and their newsstands was very rare, like a Spawn newsstand and stuff. So I could see that book, being more valuable than like a Savage Dragon #1, because it was rare seeing Savage Dragon on the newsstand. I never saw a Savage Dragon comic in the newsstand.
well, down here in the South, in my 38 years, I don't ever remember seeing a newsstand, period.
Our newsstand with Piggly Wiggly.
And Piggly Wiggly damn sure ain't had no comics in there.
And convenience stores, they had a couple, but they were like Superman books, but
I was scared to buy a comic from a convenience store, because up until recently you can smoke in convenience stores down here.
Yeah.
So it was already stained and tarred and everything. So I ain't never go to a gas station nothing like that to buy a book.
So you pretty much feel the same way Sean does, X?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, if I pick up a book and it's a newsstand edition, I'm not gonna notice it until I scan it in the CLZ app anyway. So, because I'm not looking at that, I'm looking at the number to see if it's a number that I'm missing out my run. So,
I've never really paid attention to it when before all the hype about newsstand came up, because I'm like William and Big Remo, like it's still the same comic. The only difference is that the newsstand has a barcode on it, whereas the direct edition has some other type of logo. Most of Marvel comics during like the 80s and 90s either had Spider-Man, Captain America, or either the Marvel anniversary, like I think during that time, maybe 40-year anniversary or something.
Yeah,
so and up until recently, when all this hype about the newsstands started happening, it was like it didn't even matter to me, because at the end of the day, if I got X-Men 101, which is the Jean Grey cover, it don't, man, right. I don't care if Alpha's on the cover down there in the corner. I mean, that's X-Men 101. And to me, it's going to be a valuable book, regardless of whether it's a newsstand or a direct edition. Now,
it's valuable to you.
Right. So, I mean, as far as the whole issue with newsstands typically being valued more, and what you said, Sean, makes sense. But, like, go back to the chat. It's like, it's still the same book. Like, the only difference is that one part where it's barcoded and the other one's not. So, we talked about that pretty much in detail earlier. So, I just wanted to see what everybody thought about it. But
I will say one thing. Now, if I come across like 15 Spawn #1s and a dollar bin somehow, some way, in their newsstand variants, yeah, I'm gonna buy all of them and I'm gonna flip them. You know what I'm saying? But what's the chance of that happening? Spawn #1 newsstands for $1, that you're not gonna find that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, if beyond that, if I got Spawn #1, I got Spawn #1. I don't care what edition it is. It's Spawn #1. Like, I honestly, I didn't know what a newsstand was until like Matt was the first person that I heard say newsstand, and that was years ago. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm assuming they sold it at a newsstand. I know it ain't here in Macon, so
yeah, I've seen them a bunch of times in New York, because it's the city, so they had newsstands almost every block. So
right. If it was a black freighter from a newsstand. Yeah, I get that just because it was in the book and it was sold at a newsstand in the comics. You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, I a book is a book is a book is a book.
Yep.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, our last topic that we're going to talk about briefly is let's see here. Some big news that actually dropped a couple of days ago. Jeff Johns has left DC for Image. And apparently he's actually working on an independent book by the name of Geiger. Now, for those that don't know, Jeff Johns probably one of the top dogs over in DC for a few years. He was the mastermind behind a lot of character development behind the JSA. And then he took over Green Lantern and pretty much revamped that whole mythos. And he was, if I'm not mistaken, he spearheaded the whole 52. Because I want to say he wrote Justice League for the new 52. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So this right here is pretty much a big deal. But when I saw it, I'm like, okay, they didn't say that he actually left permanently, but he left to actually create his own comic. And from what I've read, the book is called Geiger, and the series is set years after a nuclear war almost destroyed Earth, and named after one man considered to be the most dangerous in the radioactive wastelands left inhabitable, which is kind of like a Mad Max type deal or something along those lines. But a lot of people are concerned that he's not going to come back to DC. So do you all think that DC should be worried that Jeff Johns is gone for greener pastures, or because it's an independent title, Jeff Johns just want to have his creative freedom to do what he wants to and, you know, put out what he desires? Because right now, a lot of the independent, like, there's some good ass independent books out there now, like really good books. And I think he might have looked at that you know, that vantage point of, I just want to do my own thing and not be constrained by, you know, corporate BS or whatever. So what do y'all think about that? We'll start with you, Sean.
I actually am impressed that he decided to leave DC. You know, considering the fact that he's been there for so long and he risen up, you know, to the status that he got to, you know, where he was like one of the top people on the pecking order, and you know, most of his stuff was being produced for TV and movies. So he did a lot of work for DC and a lot of great work too. You know, you talked about the Green Lanterns, you know, the JLA, the Justice League Society run. Then he did Flash and did all the Rebirth stuff for that. And then New 52, he did the Justice League run. So he pretty much done it all for DC. So he probably thought that, you know, it was time for him to move on, and especially with all the changes that's been going on with DC. He's kind of probably seeing the writing on the wall that he just want to move away from it and just do some creator own work. You know, now that he has this freedom to do some of that stuff, because this is nothing new where big name creators work at the big two and then just decide to go to the independent scene and do more work there. You know, we've seen Boo Baker do it. We've seen Rick Remender do it, and they've been on the independent scene ever since.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think this is a fresh change of pace for him. I'll look forward to checking out his Geiger book, you know, his independent book, to see how it is. And you know, if he feels that this was the decision that he wanted to make because of what's going on with DC and all that, then all power to him.
Okay. X.
I mean, look at Todd McFarlane. You know what I'm saying? He left, started his own thing. He didn't necessarily leave DC, but he left, started his own thing, and his book is still going to this day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Still putting out key after key, and look at what, by him doing that, I mean, look at Image now. You know what I'm saying? Just overall. So why not? I don't. We were talking to one of our shop owners here earlier, and he was asking us about how we like how do we feel about AT&T pretty much doing away with DC. You know what I'm saying? And this just goes to show that what he was talking about may actually be right. Now, if I'm not as worried about him leaving as if like Jim Lee, you know what I'm saying? If I heard that and I'm like, yo, it's it's done for them now. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he move on to bigger, better things. You know what I'm saying? You got to do what you can to keep progressing in life, and if that's what he got to do, that's what he got to do.
William said, I will buy his book before the DC stuff in January.
That future state, but I'm scared for that.
Yeah, I'm not overly enthused about Future State.
It might be some cool covers, but I think that's gonna be about it. I'm not expecting no big stories to come out of it, but I may be wrong. It's just I'm not expecting it.
I think if he's actually gone for the long haul, like permanently, it's actually it's going to be a detriment to DC, man. Because he wrote Doomsday Clock.
With Doomsday Clock, the amount of delays that book suffered, that for that book to be a 12-issue run, it's supposed to be one whole year, and it took almost 3 years for that to complete. It's crazy, and that along with other factors would probably he'd be like, man, I need to get away from the corporate structure of comics.
That was the first hand in his back for him to leave. You know what I'm saying? That delay that could have been the first hand pushing him out, and then would do the recent events and whatnot. He was just like, you know what, it's my time.
And Al, I remember you brought up in the group chat about Shazam, and they talking about bringing Shazam back. He written that book. That series could have went longer. Let him flex his muscles on that and extend that series. But DC said, "Nah, we're gonna cancel this out." And he probably said, "You know what? I just need to step away, man."
Yeah, I'm thinking right now DC is kind of like at a crossroads, man. I mean, we could be all wrong about the situation, but I mean, you got, like Remo said, I mean, they must not care because they let him walk. I would think that they would have given him some type of opportunity to say, okay, well, you can stay with us and we'll give you whatever creative freedom that you want, but apparently that's not the case. Who knows, man? That whole AT&T thing is kind of shaky, in my opinion.
And I was gonna say about what Big Remo just said about Jim Lee, because nobody answering to him. They stripped him of most of his power, so he is probably the next one on the chopping block.
And the sad thing is, Jim Lee is still defending them. You know what I'm saying? Jim Lee defends them left and right, even after all that happened. So I don't.
Well, when we see that whole deal, the WCW play out again, where WWF was on Nitro and bought out WCW, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney tried to make a power play if it got to that point. That would be interesting, which it's a possibility. So
it's not something that I want to see, man.
Me neither.
But trust me, I still say to this day, when WWF brought out WCW, that killed a lot of wrestling because it killed the competition, and WWE became stale as fuck. They had some good stuff, but it wasn't the same no more. You didn't have something that you could switch over to and watch if they were sucking. Even when TNA was good, they were doing shit that made me think, man, this is WCW 2.0, man. They ain't gonna last, and I'm shocked they still alive.
It's funny. I agree with y'all on that, but at the same time, like, if somehow, some way Disney were to do something like that and bought DC, if they just left the creative team alone and let them do their thing, it could actually flourish. You know what I'm saying? It'll take away the camaraderie of DC versus Marvel to a certain degree, but it's more money behind them and they letting people do what they get paid to do. So it may help them out, but I'd rather them be under Disney than disappear.
I don't know, man. Disney might buy him out and then do exactly what Vince McMahon did with the Alliance shit.
Man,
I mean,
you'll be seeing Superman get beat by Paste Pot Pete and shit. You know, some
oh
crazy.
man, you
Hey,
might see.
hey, they'll add Superman to the list that Squirrel Girl defeated.
Exactly.
Right.
All
It's
of
funny.
them.
We were talking about that earlier. I,
Squirrel Girl.
I think Puffin hacked our phone, man. He listened to everything we're talking
Squirrel Girl.
about.
Man,
Oh man.
don't let me start talking about that chick, man.
I mean, but who else could buy him though? Who else could really who else could put up the money to buy DC to save him?
guess it depends on how much they asking.
I mean, hell, at this rate they cutting everything off, so it couldn't be a high penny. So I guess anybody could buy him.
But you know what?
Nugent to buy him.
That just let me know how
Hmm.
unaware that AT&T is, man, because at the end of the day, man, you got three of the biggest superheroes in comic books at your disposal. And even if you don't do anything with anybody else, you still got those three. It's still money to be made. So I don't get the fact that they're doing what they're doing. They're doing the streamline, they're canceling all these great books. Shazam was a good book. Hawkman, from what I understand, was a great book. Batgirl was a pretty good book. And you're doing all of this in favor of trimming the fat. Try to find another way to do it, because you're really killing the fan base when you're doing this type of stuff, man. And then, you know, it doesn't give people any kind of hope or any type of consolation that one of the biggest writers is about to head over to Image to write a book. Jeff Johns has been with DC for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. And it's crazy, man. So
hell, the AT&T want to trim the fat. Hell, cut deals for existing customers instead of only taking care of new customers.
Yeah.
You hell, you got to spend money to make money. You know what I'm saying? Don't just throw shit away. I mean, but you know, we just fans and only keep paying them to give us shit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Not shit as far as content, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I still have comic books that I could cherish and hold on to in case they fold. So, all right, fellas. Well, we have pretty much gotten to the end. So the next thing on the docket is our comic haul. So, does anyone have any books they would like to show?
I have already cataloged my books.
Man, you gotta stop that, X, man. Come on,
Man,
bro.
after I recorded my video, I put them things in the box. There's a good 30 books. I put them up. I grab one thing. Hold on. Y'all go ahead. Hold on, I'll be right back.
You know what? I'll go first, Sean. And then I guess when X come back, he can show what he got, and then you could go ahead and take us out of town. But I got some stuff, and this is a learning experience for me, y'all. It's so exciting. It's just okay. So I got, starting off with DC Multiverse Batman Hush. I have not read it yet, but these books are pretty good. These are like what if magazines. Like, I'm really into that whole Dark Knight's death metal thing, because I like the dark metal one. And these have been really good. The last few they come out with. The only thing I don't too much like, the book is $6. Excalibur 14. I still got some some books that I need to get. I have not read this yet. I refuse to read it until I get all the books. I'm just that type of reader. I'm not gonna start some and then have to wait 2-3 weeks to get the other books. So Wolverine number 7. The Excalibur was part 15 of X of Swords. This is part 16. This is a variant cover. I liked it because it has the X and the swords up there at the top. Wolverine looking in the coffee cup, and he is emaciated to say the least.
Mhm.
X of Swords, which was Marauders 15. I have the feeling that this is Peach Momoko. It just
Yeah, I
looked
think
like
that is.
artwork. Yeah, and this was an A cover too. So yeah, like I said, her work is hit or miss. Wolverine number 7. This is the variant edition. I'm not trying to spoil anything for anybody, but as you can see, I don't know how they pulling this off, man. Wolverine seemed me like the last person to get the Phoenix Force, but hey, it is what it is. One of my favorite titles, movie variant for Deceased, number 5. Sean, what movie is this from?
Damn, I know what it is, but I can't remember now. The name is blank to me.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at it, but this cover is it's like dope, man. I love the colors that they use.
Hold it back up.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it.
It's supposed to be a movie variant, but I don't know what book it is. Anybody in the chat knows, let us know, please. Thank you.
It could be something as simple as just Wonder Woman 84.
You know, it could be, but you know, most of the variants, like the movie variants, they're actually homages to like horror movies. But I don't know. You might be right. Justice League 56. This is part of the death metal story. One thing that shocked the crap out of me this week that I didn't know that it came out, and I jumped on it. X-Men number 4.
I didn't see that one, man.
The variant. Now, if you can't find one down there, I can scoop you one up at our LCS, Sean. But this, of course, is a reprint, the X-Men number 4, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Now, unfortunately, I don't have this one in my collection yet, but I will be getting the original. The good part of it is that when I do get the actual first print, if I choose to, I can slab that one. I'm hoping that they actually do that with all the rest of the books too. Okay, one of Donny Cates' biggest. What's up, Sean?
I see Remo said Wakanda variant.
Wakanda.
On that Wonder Woman Deceased book.
Because she's making the X, the Wakanda Forever.
Actually, it's not the Wakanda variant, Remo. And the reason why is because her hands are not on her chest, okay? Her hands are near her mouth. This is, I don't know, but it's not Wakanda. I'm sorry. Look at her hand. Look at her arms. She's covering her mouth, man. Wakanda Forever is on the chest near the heart.
Hey, some of them still can't dab.
Say what?
I said some of them still can't dab, so he might be on to something.
Hey, conspiracy theory time. I don't know. Hey, you might be on to something, Remo. We can discuss that, man, at a later time, brother. Crossover number 1.
That is what I missed.
And you know when I went, this was the last copy that they had. I'm sorry, X.
No, you good.
I'm sorry.
Hey, you all right? You all right? I knew I had went in there to pick up some. They didn't have my apparently nothing came out this week for my pull list, and I was like, it's something that I'm missing.
But you know what though? I'm supposed to be going up the origin story whenever I get my situation with my car right. They ordered me a copy. If they still got it, it's yours, man.
Bet.
I got the variant cover too. Now there was some issue that some of the A covers had some kind of hidden variant in it. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I'm gonna read this tonight. And my last comic book is We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 3. I like the first issue. I haven't read the second issue yet. But yeah, man, it was really dope.
The discovery we were talking about on my show earlier today.
Oh yeah? Got a couple other quick things I'm gonna show right quick. I collect pops. Spicy oodles.
The killer.
Spicy
the killer.
Oodles. The killer spicy oodles. Ooh. One of the dopest animes out there. If you don't watch anime, shame on you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My Hero Academia, Mr. Compress.
I gotta pre-order the next wave that they just announced.
Man, these things are addictive. If you don't know about this one, shame on you too. This is Yuko Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. And hold on one quick second.
Isn't there a character whose name begin with a B on that show? Like
Botan.
Do you? I have that.
You got Botan for real?
Yeah.
Hey man, I'll buy it from you. Hold on to it.
All right.
I got these from my man X. It was an AOK earlier today. Batman Murder Machine. This is from the Dark Knight's Metal. Thank you again, Xavier. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And I also got this one. Another anime with too much filler. It's Naruto Shippuden. Sasuke Curse Maul.
Sasuke!
Man,
Every
so
episode.
too much filler. You ain't lying.
Naruto, man, is a man. I love the anime. But I'm telling you, man, they got more filler than Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball Z got a lot of filler. Last few things I'm gonna show. X and I went to a retro store here in Macon. It's our first time going. And we met the owners. They were pretty nice. We're setting up a shop talk interview with them, hopefully sometime this week coming up. But I bought a couple of games because, you know, I'm a game collector amongst everything. Man Maestro for the PlayStation 2. It's a music game. And I also bought Sly Cooper.
Oh, man, Sly Cooper.
For the PlayStation 3.
Love that.
Yeah, man.
They got them things wrapped up pretty good, too.
Yeah, man.
I was thoroughly impressed.
It was dope. It was dope. So that's my haul for this week. So we're going to go with you, Xavier. All
right. Well, I went ahead and grabbed a handful. First up, because it's been a while, but first up, we got Batman 101, the Grifter variant right here.
Grifter.
Also have Batman 102. I had to get them. I like this one way better than the cover A. Went ahead and got Batman The Adventures Continues #6.
That's a dope cover.
I love this.
Super dope.
The Joker alone made me want to get this one. And of course, you know, I think everybody in the panel got it, but you know, the Wakanda Forever Spawn 311, the black and white.
That's the Wakanda Forever, Big Remo.
And
hey, put it back up right quick. You see the hand placement, Remo? You see the hand placement, right? It's near his chest, near his heart. Wonder Woman was trying to cover up. She had ate some broccoli and
broccoli smothered in sriracha.
It's some cheese. They were calling her teeth, but she's trying to hide her teeth.
Surprisingly, they still got a lot of the color.
Yeah, they do. I'm still waiting on mine from Golden Apple.
You'll get it, sir.
But I went ahead and picked this up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to go ahead and get this before everybody start going crazy over it and this, that, and other. I'm gonna end up getting the second printing too, even though they're worth the same amount of dinero. And the last thing, I mean, we talked about it, but I might as well show it. You know,
PlayStation 5.
It's so great, so great. But yeah,
man,
that's
like
pretty much it.
That thing like an oversized encyclopedia book.
Yeah, it looked like an old school Alienware gaming PC tower.
That's what's up. Sean, you're going to take us on to the bridge, man. I'm going to go ahead and put it on you, sir.
All right. So here's a book that I just finished reading before the show started, and that is Sacred 6.
Oh, my God. That cover. Oh, God.
I heard that was a real good read.
Yeah.
So seductive looking.
Draculina.
That's the name?
Shannon special.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Shannon ain't in the chat, boy. He probably be through the screen.
I got
that one.
I picked this one up to give it a try. John Walker, U.S. agent.
Man, I forgot that came out. Have you read it yet?
No, I have not read it yet. I picked up my books today, so I'll probably read it. Probably after the show ends. This book, I was waffling on. I really didn't want to get the book, but I went ahead and got it. So I probably won't. I mean, I think this is a one shot, but punchline number one.
Man, it was so many of them copies left.
Yep.
A and B at our shop.
Nobody.
I got the Frank show.
I think that's you talking about speculation.
Yeah. I posted these on IG. The ASM Last Remains. This is 51 point.
Is that a venomized Wolverine?
Yeah, it's like Miles and them transformed into like hideous spiders. I have not read this yet, or ASM 52 yet.
So them look like the old school covers right there, which I love.
Yeah, them white covers. Some Joseph Michael Linseer, Red Sonja, issue number 21.
How's she gonna be inconspicuous, but she naked?
Yes, you can, man. I got this as well. What's up, Doom?
He looked like that cover looked just like Blue Beetle.
You know, I got some Moon Knight vibes from this as well.
Too.
You know,
that too. Yeah, good call.
You know, just throw that hood on him because even the head, it looked like Moon Knight.
Good call.
Is that Dale Auto or Art Journ?
I can't tell for sure. I don't know if it's Art Journ, but it may be. Dynamite issue number 2, Perillo.
It looked like straight out of Werewolf in London.
Fright Night.
Yep.
Fright Night.
and I've seen this cover multiple times. This style of cover, you know. So picked up Black Widow number 3.
Larry,
she don't look too happy in that. She don't look too happy in that dress.
Mm-mm.
And then, of course, you know, Josh Middleton, I think, is just killing the Wonder Woman covers.
That's nice.
I might get my first Peach Momoko cover next week with this Rorschach 2.
And that is all for me.
Right on. Well, folks, thank you for joining us tonight. We always appreciate your viewership. We thank you for showing up, participating, and just being you. I was
That's
gonna
a
say
good piece of candy in your mind, boy.
Hey, man. These are candies that they give you like at Olive Garden. But these shit so delicious, man.
I thought you were gonna say like during your mama gave you during church. Just so you don't talk.
That's peppermint.
The old school hard peppermint.
That peppermint that when you start chewing it, it just start melting in your mouth. But seriously though, we thank you all for joining us. That's gonna be pretty much the end of the show. Of course, we got some new content coming out. Matt's gonna be back with us next week because he's out of town until next Friday, I think. Chris, like I said, he was partying hard in the night at his brother's wedding. Larry is in parts unknown. But yeah, we got some stuff coming up for you all. New videos, hopefully some Chop Talk videos and all that good stuff. We are also so in turn, kids, don't do drugs. This is a perfect public service announcement from the Ad Council. But yeah,
I was gonna say Captain America PSA.
Hey man, whatever it takes to get the kids off of drugs.
Doom said, "I sounded like the end of an after-school special."
Yeah, Dan. Hey, Dan, that's a cool cat right there, man. We got to hook up because he plays Ghost of Tsushima 2. Man, that game is great, man. Y'all get that game if you got a PS4. But one other thing before we leave, we have basically we are on the cusp of having 400 subscribers. So if y'all have friends that like comic books and can tolerate us for about an hour and a half or 15 or 20 minutes to watch some of our videos, pass the word. Tell them to come and call them roundtable discussion. They're doing some pretty good things. We got well, I hadn't talked it over with everybody, but I got once we get to our 400 subscribers, we're going to pretty much do what we did the last time when we got to 300 subscribers and do some giveaways. Actually, for the 400 subscriber, I have a slab out of my personal collection that I'm going to give away. So we're only 7 subscribers from that goal. So hopefully y'all can help us get there. Like I said, if y'all got friends, family that like comic books, just tell them to hit us up, subscribe, like, share, tap that notification button. Because the ones that are here, y'all are here all the time, and we appreciate that. The ones that aren't here, they get to us whenever they can, you know. Of course, Sean, you all know that he has a channel, Stay Puft 1983. He churns out some good stuff, chatting with the comic book community. We have other affiliates in our link. The G-Man is a big supporter, so we're linking his channel at the bottom, and also Kingdom Comics, Tito. We link his channel at the bottom as well. So y'all go and support each and every one of those particular groups. And if someone else we need to go ahead and add on, we'll do that too. But does anybody have any parting words before we leave, before we let everybody go?
I'll probably be on Silver Age Sunday tomorrow. I haven't been on the last 2 weeks, so look. Hopefully, if they have a show tomorrow, I'll definitely be on there. And we need to figure out how we're gonna get this old school R&B and funk show going, man. Because I was going through them vinyls. I was like, man, I can't wait to chat, and nobody was able to be on yesterday.
I really wanted to, man, but like I said, I was at the mercy of a gecko. So I work for Geico, y'all.
Yeah.
But yeah, X, you got any parting words, sir?
I mean, you pretty much covered it all. I mean, we as you and I were talking earlier, we trying to decide what we want to do for the 400 subscriber giveaway. I mean, y'all tell everybody, you know, because we don't just talk about comments. As y'all see, comments is the main focus, but we talk about everything. We enjoy doing what we're doing. We're not trying to media man. We're not trying
to get Al to join us because he's got the Media Man Blu-ray finally in Austria.
Really?
So we want to do a show talking about Media Man.
We're gonna do a conversation, dude.
We can do that.
I can't wait, man, because I want to talk about the Golden Lords so bad.
Golden Lords.
We also come to the stream with the Golden Lord high fade.
I think I'm gonna do the Don Cheadle. I'm gonna do that extremely low gold fade.
I can do the golden skull and paint this right here.
I'm gonna see if I can get a golden vest or something. Maybe, I don't know. I might have a gold shirt. I don't know. We'll figure that.
Hey man, that man, we got to do that.
I might dress up as what's his name, Bill Cosby.
And on that note, y'all, we're about to end this particular show. We already ain't monetized. He trying to add something to the mix that's gonna probably get
you said add something to the mix.
Yeah. Shout out to Ron.
There you go.
Ron, in the chat, man. I appreciate you showing up, and we do gotta hook up and play some fighting games, man. Like, you know where we live. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We need to have a mass tournament.
Oh man, that would be so dope. When this COVID is over, man, we might have to do that. And anybody that's in the nearest area of Georgia will have to send out an invite, man. Like, it'll be like the video game Kumite, like on Bloodsport and stuff.
Except it'll be based on true events.
Exactly, because it will be.
You brought up Bloodsport. We actually had a fun time today talking kung fu movies.
Yo,
you talking about Jackie Chan and the Shaw Brothers movies and all that stuff, man.
Man, you talking about a collection of movies?
Yeah, Shaw Brother.
Man,
Sammo Hung, man.
Man, did y'all talk about Gordon Liu You can't talk about kung fu movies if you don't talk about Gordon Liu, man.
He in almost every single one of them.
Fist of the White Lotus.
Yeah, I brought up White Lotus, man.
I watched that the other day for like the
Return to
umpteenth
the
time.
36 Chambers. You know, he was Pai Mei in Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's the only good thing about Kill Bill to me.
You know what? That's what we need to do. We need to put that on the docket. Matt just texted me. He said he was way out in the he saw the Swamp Beast. But we have to put that on the docket too. Kung Fu movie, and we might have to get some special guests on talk about that too. So that was a good one, Sean. Yeah, we need to do that, man. But we appreciate
do that
for showing up and being here with us.
I'm gonna talk Sonny Shiba.
Oh God.
I'm bringing.
Hey man, we've been on for an hour and 45 minutes, man. We started talking about Kung Fu movies, man.
Another hour, bro.
It'll be tomorrow morning.
Hey, now I feel when our shows get extended, man.
And that's just talking about the early 70s and 80s, not even the 90s and current. You know what I mean? You throw Donnie Yen in there.
And that's one thing, man, that I really love about the community as a whole. It's so diverse. You find somebody, if they're not in the Kung Fu movies, they're in the wrestling. If they're not in the wrestling, they're in the comic books. If they're not in the comic books, they're in the video game. So it's like a common denominator that actually bring everything up. Jeepers Creepers was out.
Oh no, Matt wouldn't have made it. If it was a creeper, Matt wouldn't have made it because he would have feasted off of Matt Fear.
I be texting Matt, hey man, make sure you hide your key to your house, man. I won't pick up them slabs, you know.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I can get in.
Yeah, let's make that happen. I'm gonna text him, make sure he's okay. Like, you okay, Matt?
Hey,
but anyway, we got some stuff coming in, and of course, y'all see that we're formulating some other content for the channel. But we do appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking with us for this hour and 47 minutes. But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and let y'all go. So for Puff, aka Sean, for Xavier Randall, aka Hydro XR12, and yours truly, Al, aka Dusty Brick Brown, we'd like to wish you all a good night. Fare thee well. Y'all take it easy and enjoy the rest of the weekend, okay?
Y'all.